Hi, everyone. My name is Austin Bram, and I am the AI evangelist at Integrail. Today, I have the incredible opportunity to sit down with someone who's truly been shaping the AI landscape for over a decade. A serial entrepreneur, a growth expert, and a visionary who's helped multiple companies achieve massive success. He's led marketing and product strategy at companies like Cockroach Labs, Single Store, and Tab9, driving innovation and adoption of cutting-edge technologies. He's a sought-after advisor, a regular contributor to Forbes, and now he's stepping into a new role as our CEO at Integrail. In this exclusive interview, we'll explore his vision for the future of AI, the challenges and opportunities facing businesses today, and how Integrail plans to empower non-technical users to build and deploy their own AI agents. So get ready for an insightful conversation that will change the way that you think about artificial intelligence. And without further ado, here's my conversation with Integrail CEO, Peter Guagenti. So Peter, first question I really wanted to ask you was, obviously you becoming the new CEO of Integrail. Can you really tell us who is Integrail?
That is a great question. So the way the elevator pitch I'd give you for Integrail is the fastest and easiest way to build and deploy AI workers inside of your organization. Agentic AI is a hot topic. Everyone is talking about it. I would argue that agentic AI is really the expression of generative AI in real world activities. But the definition of what is an agent and what is agentic AI is incredibly broad. And my view of this is, it's not as simple as some people are calling agents, where it's really just a packaged prompt, right? That you could just click a button and do. It has to be bigger than that. My view of AI agents they are prompts plus context, applied against an LLM and then integrated into a workflow. So different than bots that came before it, because bots were really just able to follow a prescribed path and then do if this, then that. Agents can think. An LLM is a brain. It is a rudimentary brain. It's a pattern matching brain, but LLMs can think. And so as we think about where Integrail is creating these AI workers, what we're really doing is taking a set of tasks and activities that you would normally have delegated to a contractor, an offshore team, or a junior employee, and we're packaging that with that knowledge, the action, plus that brain into something that can autonomously complete a task. And so lots of people are going after this problem. Some people are building vertical agents that are like the perfect answer to a very specific problem. That works great if what you are doing is trying to assign out a task where that role is done exactly the same in every company. That's wonderful. And there's great use cases for that. I think some of the legal bots that are being created, some of the sales and marketing bots that are being created are great for that. But, we believe that as you're building out this digital workforce, as you're building out these AI workers, you don't want an employee off the street. You want your employee of the month, right? And your employee of the month is constructed based on your processes, your patterns, your data, your expectations, and frankly, follows and adheres with the way you want to work as an organization. So that's what Integrail is focused on. We're an early company. We've got, product is developing very quickly, but I'm really proud to be part of this transformation.
Great. I mean, that's quite apparent, obviously, your knowledge and your kind of industry expertise. So I'd love to dive into that a little bit further. Can you actually share a bit about your journey and kind of what led you to this role at Integrail?
Yeah, I'll go back to the beginning, because I believe that we're in a transformation right now that is bigger than most people are fully appreciating. I think there's a lot of, there's always this question of hyper hope, right? I think there's a lot of hype happening right now. Marketers doing their job, salespeople doing their job, investors doing their job of building excitement. But underneath it all is something truly transformative. And I can say this because I've seen it before. So I started my first company 2 months before my 20th birthday, building web applications in New York in 1995. So, this is one of those things where I believe that technology transforms life. Technology transforms how we work. Going back to the very beginning of the Industrial Revolution, we evolved as a species, and we become the most dominant species on the planet because our use of tools. And so technology as we know it has always accelerated that. And I started my career doing what we now call digital transformation. I worked with over 100 brands in my time as a management consultant and agency executive, helping companies move from the old ways of doing things to a digital-centric world. And that took us a long time. I mean, I would argue it took us 25 years, right? The sort of forcing function was the pandemic in 2020, where we said, okay, well, everything's got to be digital now. And what wasn't has to change. But I had seen this building with AI actually for the last 7 or 8 years. I had a thesis going back then that, everything we lived through with digital transformation really was just version 1.0. Because what we were really doing was taking our old paper processes, old distribution mechanisms, and just turning them from analog to digital. But there was this burgeoning group of new businesses and new applications and new ways of doing things that had algorithms at the core, right? And the earliest examples of this, so you think about like Uber fundamentally disrupted dispatch and delivery with an algorithm that could identify and match the service with the buyer, right? Mm-hmm. Now I don't have to go and call a taxi and wait 45 minutes for a taxi. I just hit a button in Uber and there's a car there in 5 minutes because they know I'm in a hot spot where we're causing needed, right? The same thing happened in media. Netflix has this ridiculous recommendation algorithm that we all use to view our content. Guess what? That is on the other end too, guiding the studio of what actually gets produced, right? It's not just what gets pushed to you, right? And I'm going to give you examples in literally every category where algorithms have changed this stuff. And so that was my thesis then. And you saw the pieces of it. I mean, LLMs had been around for 6 years. Like we saw the early promise of LLMs even then. And so I had this thesis that we were going to do it all over again. And I feel like there was this moment, the tipping point was ChatGPT, right? All of a sudden, technology had actually been around for a few years. All of a sudden, everybody started to understand. And everyone started to understand what was possible. And that just has started this explosion of this new challenge, which is what I believe is going to be an AI-enabled, an AI-centric world, fast forward 10, 15 years from today. So I'm super excited to be part of that.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And that makes a ton of sense. And following the trajectory and the lines in the sand and, very pivotal moments that kind of brings about that shift. I mean, that's obviously what we're all trying to do is to figure out what's that next shift and ride with it. So kind of in that idea of, as we believe that agentic AI is that time, it is that shift happening right now. Can you give us an overall vision that you have for Integrail and kind of how we're going to be a part of that rapidly changing landscape?
Look, my vision for the company is really to focus on the business transformation that AI brings, right? I think I've spent the last 15 years in software companies, right? I spent the first 15 years of my career in agency and consulting, and spent the next 15 in software companies. And I feel like in many ways, the software business lost its way, where we went from thinking about how does our software help a customer be more successful? How does it help a business be more profitable or productive or competitive? Whatever it is. We used to focus on building technology that solved meaningful problems for our target audience. And we've gotten into this thing over the last 10 years where it feels a little bit more like we create widgets because we want to create widgets, right? And we just create software because it's interesting to write. And I'm old school, man. Like I believe in the Peter Drucker school of thought, which is the purpose of a business is to create and keep customer relationships, right? And I've always really prided myself on being a customer servant, right? And really putting myself in the shoes of my customers and putting myself in their pains and their opportunities and what they're trying to achieve. And so I think that agentic AI and the rise of AI workers is going to be a radical transformation for most businesses. And I think they are starting to see that, but they don't really know what that means. And they don't fully understand how to approach the problem. And so my vision for Integrail is to be my customer's best partner in shifting from an all human to a mix of human and digital workforce. That's what I want to do. And I want to do it in a way that's really respectful of who they are and how they work and where and how they want to work. And so, my belief is that we can build a combination of a powerful yet still user-friendly platform, right? That doesn't require heavy engineering, doesn't require new specialized expertise from AI engineers and data scientists and the like. And we can combine that with expert guidance, both our own package services, our own training and education, as well as a network of partners, right, who can actually go and deliver this as well, but really offer a holistic solution, right? Our earliest design partner customers are folks like, a CFO who's looking at us and saying, I'm trying to figure out how to accelerate what I'm doing with contract payments processing and collections and things like that. And there's some good off-the-shelf tools that are out there that do these things. And there are agents that are emerging inside of some of the accounting tools. But, if you run a complex enterprise with multiple touch points and lots of unique steps in the process, you want something that's built for you. Yep. Right. And that works for you. Right. And so if they're going to go and replace a back office that they've offshored or put in a low cost location, with an AI agent that's actually more repeatable and more predictable and higher quality, right? Then that needs to be tailored for them. And so that's what I want Integral to be. I want Integral to be that partner who can understand the customer needs and help them create these bespoke AI workers that actually have a meaningful impact on their business, either through productivity and cost savings or unlocking capability they couldn't have before.
Absolutely. And I feel like this would be a great time. And it's often obviously one of the very important parts of kind of working with companies and working with clients is the straight up education side of it, which leads, perfect timing. We're talking a lot about agentic AI. What can it do? And how it's transforming everything. I mean, for the audience who may be newer, and probably most are newer to the concept of agentic AI, let's go ahead and dive into the controversy of what is the definition of AI and what makes it different, agentic AI, and what makes it different from like traditional chatbots or traditional AI. I think that's a great place that a lot of companies and a lot of business leaders just have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I love it. You said traditional AI for a technology that hasn't existed very long at all. Look, I answered this question earlier around this concept of what is an AI agent, right? It's not just, some people are trying to put a little bit of a lipstick on something pretty basic and call it an agent, right? They're taking a prompt that you would normally put into ChatGPT, they're packaging that prompt, so you click a button and call it. But that's not really an agent, right? That's really just a packaged prompt. Mm-hmm. The idea of a real agent, I think, is much more complex than that. A real agent should be able to combine all of the prompts that are necessary to solve specific tasks, the most relevant context to actually answer that problem, right? Because you think about it, if you delegate a task to a human, right? You don't just say, hey, I need you to do this thing. You actually give them whatever information is necessary in order for them to actually solve it. And that's the importance of context or RAG. RAG is one of the methods you provide context. But that combination of prompt plus context is really the minimum requirement to not just get any answer, but to get an appropriate and correct answer to any given task that you're assigned to an AI agent. But you take that prompt, you take the context, you apply that against the LLM, but then, what separates an agent from simple assistance, right? We're typing into a chat UI is really workflow, right? Because the LLMs are capable of processing and making decisions, including a multi-step process, right? Do this, then do this, then do this, right?
Yep.
And so, what we're seeing is the best examples of what I would consider AI agents, or what we've been calling AI workers, really are something where you've been able to take, a process or a role or a task that you would normally have delegated to an individual, right? And you've been able to package it where it actually operates autonomously. And, this combination of the knowledge required, the thinking that is there, and then frankly, the actions that it takes, the inputs, the outputs, the systems it talks to, the process it follows, that is what I would consider a true AI agent today.
Yeah. And for personal, example, a great one, me being in the social media space, is of course I made a social media agent that does pretty much all of my content scripting and making the posts and things like that for me to see. And and work off of. And that's a perfect example in kind of my world, which leads to the idea of, me, I'm a fairly non-technical, like I know some coding, but I'm not deep into the weeds of things. How would you say a no code platform like Integrails really, is used by both technical and non-technical, and like how can we use that to really create a bespoke AI agent? Like what does that actually look like at Integrail?
That's a great question. The way I would summarize our focus on creating these agents, these AI workers, is who we really want to serve are the business side of the house, not IT, not AI engineers. Not to say that we won't support IT. Actually, we're working with a number of customers where we are working inside of the IT organization to provide this platform. But we think there's, for the most part, there's been a lot of innovation in the sort of classic, algorithm, ML ops, data ops stack to unlock generative AI. So, that is one method to go and create these things. And it's a valid method. If you can hire AI engineers and you can hire data scientists and you can manage your data infrastructure, great. That's wonderful. You can go and do that. But I think the reality is if you're trying to hire an AI engineer today and you're in a place like San Francisco, like I am, or in New York, like our co-founders are, good luck getting an AI engineer against Meta, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and all the other big tech firms, right? We want to be able to walk this fine line of being able to make all of that core infrastructure accessible to anybody, so any business of any kind, and really make it so any technically minded business profession can go and create this. Our vision is if you can design a process in a flowchart in software, you should be able to build an AI worker, right? Yep. Well, it's not that simple because you also have to understand, well, what content is relevant? What systems do I need to talk to? What, data would be relevant to provide this context for the assignment, right? So you have to be technically minded, right? But the people who we've seen most successful on our platform are people who already do these things, right? So Gartner estimated that inside of the line of business, not counting IT, inside of the line of business, 1 in 4 employees are actually a technical employee. So think about your Salesforce admins, your Marketo or Constant Contact campaign builders, the people who, on your operations team are working with tools like Segment to move data in and out for reporting or for CRM or for other things like that. People who build and manage your e-commerce platform, right? So that's who we're really targeting. We mostly work directly with department heads, in the C-suite around what the AI workers are trying to construct. But the people who live in the platform every day, who are creating these workers and tuning these workers, they're folks who understand business process. They understand requirements of the business, are a task to accomplish or a path to accomplish a task in business. But they also understand these things enough where they can connect the dots and make that work. So it's a fine line to walk. I want to be really clear. Like there are some simpler tools than us that are really like, they're logical extensions of the sort of if this then that flow, but they then become very limited, right? And that's the thing we're trying to avoid. We don't want them to feel limiting, right? Because we don't want to just have these basic agents. We want to be able to allow you to create workers, right? And so in order to do that, we have to walk this fine line of, having a GUI UI, drag and drop, things are easily explained. You can see actions, you can see inputs and outputs, you can see where you activate decision-making in the LLM, but at the same time, you do need to understand what it is you're constructing. And we're seeing teams hugely successful with this. Like I said, there are 50 business systems that we do administration and configuration on today that'll make this feel very familiar.
And speaking of walking fine lines, and also speaking of probably the hard time, as you brought up, of people now, of companies and people and businesses nowadays having the trouble of keeping that top tier talent when it comes to the AI space. As a CEO, and how do you actually approach kind of building and nurturing a company that fosters that innovation while maintaining like operational excellence in all that like we do here at Integrail for the most part?
Yeah, well, startup life is a different animal than the large companies, right? So Um, recruiting AI talent inside of a company like Integrail is actually really straightforward because, there's when you go to hire the talent who understands these things, you tend to find people who are drawn to one end of the spectrum or the other. They want to be in a big company because they want to solve big problems and they want the stability of a large public company. But in those organizations, you're a cog in the machine. Not to say that you're not important, right? That's not my indication, but you are a cog in a machine. You have to be sort of very comfortable with someone else is building the machine, someone else is defining the path forward, and you're there to advance their agenda, right? And that's how it is. But then there are others who like myself. I've been in a variety of software startups to this point, many times very early stage. I've started my own agencies and consultancies, and I've also been in big company. I ran a practice at Accenture. I ran a massive division at our digital agency, which was acquired by Microsoft. So I've been in big companies, but the smaller companies are very attracted to people who want to be highly innovative, right? They really want to go and build things that are fresh and compelling and unique, and they want ownership, right? They want to know that they are not just a cog in the machine. They are the machine, right? And they are designing the machine with us, right? And so, we tend to be able to attract that leading edge talent, right? And our roots actually being mixed between Europe and the United States means we're actually getting access to a really interesting variety of talent. Now, that said, execution still matters. If there are folks that are listening to this that are on more of the startup side of that, so we'll tell you the biggest mistake most startups make is they have a grand vision, but ideas are silver and code is gold, right? So it's not about having great ideas. It's about being able to execute every day, right? And I've been in a number of software companies, and I've had raging successes and I've had raging failures, right? I've been through both. And I'll tell you, the separation between those two actually mostly comes down to the decisions you make every day. So as a leader, what I'm really focused on is how do we make sure we've got a clear vision? We know where we're all going. Everyone is aligned against that mission, but then everyone is empowered to actually go and right? And then do we create the right structure where we can make good decisions, right? Where we understand what's happening and we act accordingly. And it's a challenge. It's a very complex thing to do every day, but it is as simple as that. Like, get people aligned, get them pointed at the right problems, get things out of their way, and then as a unit, understand how to make good choices when forks in the road emerge.
Love it. And kind of rounding out the general thoughts here about, especially, where is Integrail headed and where is the general AI industry, whatever you want to call it, headed? Like, as we're, beginning of 2025 and we're really starting the year strong, everyone's going, what emerging trends in the AI space, kind of in the AI, like AI agents, like based systems, what do you find the most intriguing right now? Like, what's really got you and been like, man, that is really cool that's happening right now?
Honestly, the thing that I find really cool right now in general is basically this like Cambrian explosion we have of new tools and technologies and techniques.
Yep.
It feels to me like the web in 97. It really feels that way, where, we don't know exactly what's gonna be around still 10 years later. We don't, right?
Yep.
But what we do know is it's all important right now because we're all learning, we're all evolving, we're all advancing the technology, we're all building remarkable things. And, that is both exciting and terrifying at the same time, right? I think I want to acknowledge the latter too, because I think if you're a business executive and you're seeing all this stuff, it just feels like a lot, right? It just feels like, and because it is a lot, I think from my perspective, it's a wonderful thing just to embrace, right? Embrace the fact that there is this explosion, use it as an opportunity to experiment, use it as an opportunity to learn, use it as an opportunity to explore. And I think within all of this volume of activity and noise, there are golden nuggets that are emerging. There are things that are clearly great answers and great solutions and great technology and good paths forward. And we're seeing people who are embracing this already having really sizable impacts on the performance of the business. Right. We are seeing. So for me, it's not one thing or another. I think actually we get a little too focused on the like, it's the latest model, or no, this is the latest model, or oh, there's this new widget out there. Like the widgets are less important than the evolution of the entire category, right? And what we're learning as we go. Generative AI now has been, we've been working with chatbots for 2.5 years. And they felt like magic then. Now we found all their weaknesses, right? Now you can go into, be honest with yourself, you go into one of these chat assistants and you can see where it hallucinates. You can see where it doesn't really solve the problem. It felt like magic on day one. Doesn't feel like magic anymore, right? But every time we take a step forward with how we actually start to leverage that technology in a new way, that feels like a new wave of magic, right? So embrace it, like love it, and lean into it and learn from it. And that to me is what gets me excited every day.
I love it, man. That is a very salient advice for all of us in this time that like you just said, oh my gosh, 2 weeks ago, DeepSeek comes out, but then immediately OpenAI comes out with O3 and O3 Mini. And then next thing you know, like it's always moving, always evolving. And one of the most important parts is just be a part of it, play around, try it out, and embrace, all the stuff that's happening right now in this amazing industry. So Peter, I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much for all the insights and all the advice and all the leadership. And I just want to let you know, from a part of the Integrail team, so excited to have you as our CEO, to learn under you and kind of take this agentic AI revolution to the masses and kind of show people what it's capable of doing, and to really serve, as you said, like a servant leadership type of way. We want to serve the clients, and we're excited to do so. So Peter, thank you so much, and I hope you have a good day.
Thanks, Johnson.
Wow. What an incredible conversation with Peter Guagenti. Huge thanks to Peter for sharing his insights on Integrail and the transformative power of agentic AI. It's clear that the future of work is being written right now, and Integrail is at the forefront. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of agentic AI, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more expert interviews and demos. And for those of you who want to go even deeper, we've got something special for you. Peter will be hosting an exclusive webinar on the future of work. You'll get an even closer look at how AI agents are changing the game. So make sure to stay tuned to our agentic AI newsletter, our social medias, and our YouTube channel for that webinar registration. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.